Those 10 years have brought a lot of hard work and some happy memories in building ProRail Services into a successful family-owned railway engineering business. Since 1990, Eamonn has been using his problem-solving expertise, working on multidisciplinary railway engineering projects with a key focus on winning work, resource management, program management, and delivering a full design and build process to his clients, always seeking to improve efficient project teams and delivering safe and profitable projects to the client's satisfaction. Amanda joins him, and she is the HSQE Director at ProRail Services and has been there for 5 years. She's a health and safety professional with 20 years of experience and has worked across a large variety of sectors and organisations. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Eamonn and Amanda, and welcome both.
Thank you very much, Mark, and good afternoon to everybody. Hopefully you find our discussions stimulating. I'd welcome questions if you, as Mark quite rightly put into the chat, and we'll have plenty of time at the end of the presentation to have a two-way discussion, which I look forward to in due course. So yeah, our presentation today is on sustainability and social value and railway engineering works. And I suppose really before I go into the drink of the presentation, kind of we wanted to see how it could apply to a railway SME and the challenges we have faced, and also the practical things we've done to meet those challenges as well. So I'll next slide, please. I'll just kind of quickly run through our proposed agenda for the presentation. I'm going to go through some introductions, capabilities, and then specific railway engineering capabilities, a slide on insurance, our accreditations, and then how that then starts to knit together with how sustainability and social value applies to our business. I'll speak a little bit about our partnership with the Supply Chain Sustainability School, which is a fantastic initiative, and we've been a member for a number of years now. The People Matter Charter, efforts we are working hard on with respect to carbon waste reduction in our business, and what we've done with respect to environmental sustainability index in the plan, do, measure approach to that. Quite a bit of information regarding our plant and what we've done in a number of aspects with our plant with respect to sustainability and social value, but we'll go detail later on, and specifically with HVO. And then, as we said later on, we've got a Q&A session, which we look forward to. So we'll then move on to the next slide, please. Sure. So ProRail Services, family-owned company, as Mark said, we set up 10 years ago. Myself and Siobhan, my wife, joint MDs. And initially, we set up as a railway engineering consultancy, providing advice and solutions to our clients. And that kind of quickly morphed into being a railway multi-functional disciplinary contractor, working typically for National Rail and the Tier 1s. We also retain our own fleet of on-track plant under our PAS license with National Rail, and we are a nationwide business. Well, I say nationwide, we're predominantly England and Wales. We haven't ventured as far north as Scotland just yet. So I'm speaking today from our head office in Welland Garden City. We've also got a northern depot based in Warrington. Our plant fleet is based in Rudgwick, near Horsham, West Sussex, although we do operate nationwide. And we've got a PMO office based in New York, which helps us with our bids and our design build processes. We've also got access to quite a variety of satellite hubs across England, especially with respect to plant operations. So on the presentation today is myself as MD and my colleague Amanda, who is our Health, Safety, Quality, Environment Director. Next slide, please. Sure. Typically, these are the following capabilities we retain within railway engineering, and these are kind of our day-to-day works. Significant amount of work on railway drainage, both on and off track. That's both directly for National Rail and the Tier 1 contractors. Permanent way, we've always done an element of permanent way throughout the life of our business, but more so started to expand quite a lot, and that resulted us forming a full permanent way division, which we started in May this year. We've done some really good recruitment of senior managers to help us move that forward over the next few years as well. We've been very busy in the stations projects the last number of years as well, supporting National Rail and the Tier 1s directly. We just finished a large programme work in association with the Commonwealth Games through our valued friends and partners in J. Murphy and Sons in Birmingham as well. We retain framework contracts for level crossings, both for NR and some of the Tier 1s, and that results either survey design and build, also results in fact creating new RAPs across various points in Wessex and across Southern region as well. We retain quite a bit of design capability in-house. Anything with respect to railway drainage or earthworks drainage is typically done in-house. The broader spectrum, we work with design partners, both for ultimately we provide a full survey and design and build capability to our clients. Within the sphere and scope of our National Grid frameworks, we have to provide a reactive and emergency response service. And as we approach October, typically October to February is when the rainy season will kick in, and we know from previous 5 years, being the Western record, we expect another busy reactive season ahead. Platform construction and extensions, been very, very busy with that. The ORR observed a variety of notices on National Grid with respect to tactiles and installations across various stations. So we've got a significant program to get through the next 2.5 years on that at the moment. And with respect to depot siding works, we typically work for the train operating companies in that sphere. Vegetation fencing has been a bit of a bolt-on to our railway drainage works, but typically this is the time of year when we're busiest executing vegetation management and new fence installation. Geotech for us means two things. Geotech can be the initial reactive in this kind of forthcoming time of year, but then obviously once the emergency works are executed, they're working with our clients to formulate permanent works design proposals, and later they're in utilise blockades or big possessions to prevent various series of solutions. We're quite fortunate, you can see from some of the slides throughout today, we provide a full on-track plant hire service, but we also retain our own OTP, where they're part of our own contracts to deliver for our clients as well, all under our own POS license with Network Rail. Next slide, please. Assurance to us means ultimately getting our staff home in one piece every day. And a lot of hard work goes into a matrix approach to that. But assurance also means that we provide assurance to our clients that we're a safe pair of hands, not just from a safety point of view, but from a sustainability and social value point of view. And it's become more prevalent as the years go on, how within the aspects of each accreditation or service delivery requirements to clients, how much more new emphasis is being put on, certainly the last 2 years, with demonstrating real evidence of social value and what efforts the business is doing to provide sustainable solutions so that they can satisfy their clients in turn to Network Rail or Department of Transport as appropriate. I've got a detailed slide on supply chain school later on, but I would just say at this stage we are a full partner with them, have been for a number of years. Our staff are in-house and primarily sponsored. We retain all the major ISO accreditations that any other tier ones you would come to be aware of would have as well. Everything we do in the cross aspects of on-track plant, civils, track and station works, we have the full suite of risks/RICL codes for those activities, and we are a full Network Rail POS license holder as well. Now, this is where in certain tier one clients, some may want construction line like Balfour Beatty, others like say the old Osborne or Octavius One Builders Profile. And there are quite a lot of new elements in that now to provide evidence of both social value and sustainability, which I'll touch on later on. But this has now become more of a standard fare for us. So I thought I'd list it out here because there is more requirements as the months go on and as the years go on to provide that evidence and what actual real measures one is taking place. Key, I suppose, attributes for us is that in the 10 years of trading, we're zero with our business. We're also a zero rate HABIT business. That means we've never put everyone in hospital or caused a river event. We've never handed back a possession either. So that people I say is that luck, good fortune. I say it's down to a lot of hard work, a lot of planning, and a lot of cultural buy-in by the staff within our business to make these things happen. Thanks, Sure. Next slide, please. Amanda, over to you.
Yeah, so basically, as per the previous slide, obviously we've got a large number of accreditations and certifications, which are obviously all pertinent to the business and the works we do. Some are probably well known to most of you, such as kind of the ISOs, etc. Others are kind of newer to our business and have become more relevant as we've grown as a business, and that sustainability has become a bigger focus. For an example of one of them would be the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment. That one in particular is a professional body for everyone working within the environment and sustainability. That particular accreditation provides resources tools, knowledge and research sharing to enable us to be able to use kind of real world needs in regards to the environment and sustainability. The next slide, please, Charlotte.
Okay, so I've kind of done various research in times gone by about what the definition actually means. So for us, sustainability is concerned with protecting the planet, halting climate change, promoting social development, or endangering life on Earth, or leaving anyone behind. That's what it means to us as a business. I mean, you'll see a multitude of similar definitions, I'm sure, on various media. Social value, for us, it's a quantification of the relative importance that people place on the change the experience of lives, and also how we interact with our stakeholders and our neighbours on about our works in the area that we're working in. Yeah, these are massively, massively important issues that need to be addressed, not just because like us, but in industry in general. One of the things we've done in the last, say, probably 2.5 years is to set up cultural kind of work, like the old safety behaviour culture workshops. We've done the exact same thing for behavioural culture workshops, but we're split particularly to sustainability and social value, and that's getting our staff on site, staff in head office to work together and kind of challenging each other what these means and what we can do practically to implement these measures, and then to record that and provide evidence later on. Next slide, please.
So our what is our policy and our approach to sustainability? So obviously as a company, we're obviously committed to promoting sustainability. Concern for the environment and promoting a broader sustainability agenda are obviously integral to the business's professional activities and the management of our organisation. We aim to follow and promote good sustainable practices to reduce the environmental impacts of all our activities and to help our clients to do the same. So we have a number of following principles that form part of our policy. First and foremost, it is to comply with and where practical exceed all applicable legislation and relevant codes of practice. We try to ensure sustainability and all considerations are integrated to all our business decisions and process creation. We aim to reduce and minimise the effects of running our offices and transportation activities and anything that has an effect on the environment overall. As a business, we look to promote sustainable management practices in everything we do. And using the tools and memberships accessible to us as a business, we also provide our staff with training and ensure they are fully aware of all our policies and commitments to its implementation. So as Eamonn previously said, we work with a number of clients, but probably our largest is Network Rail. So their strategy for sustainability has to be aligned with everything we do. Network Rail have a very clear 30-year strategy for delivering a sustainable railway. As a principal contractor for delivering different types of work on the Network Rail infrastructure, we have aligned our strategy to support their goals. So Network Rail, as you'll see, have 4 core priorities. Their first one is to be a low emission railway. So from Network Rail, look to achieve net zero carbon emission by 2050 and to deliver continual improvements to air quality so that their passengers, neighbours and employees breathe healthier air. At the moment, Network Rail are looking to achieve that by implementing greener trains and greener assets across their infrastructure. Their second core priority is to have a reliable railway service that is resilient to climate change. Network Rail are preparing the railway infrastructure to minimise the impacts of climate change by 2050. They're looking at policy change and identifying levels of investment needed to support that. They're also, the third priority is helping with plants and wildlife flourish. So together with Network Rail, we continue to look after nature and protect and maintain and enhance biodiversity across the railway and wherever we work. Their fourth core priority is recycling and reusing everywhere. The Network Rail strategy is to reuse, repurpose or redeploy all surplus resources, minimise the use of resources, design out where possible waste and embed waste life cycle circular economy thinking into the railway industry by 2035. Thank you. Charlotte, next one, thank you. So as part of that, We, as a business, align our strategies with the Sustainability Development Goals. So the Sustainability Development Goals and their 169 supporting targets provide a framework to address the global challenges that we all face as a business. They set out a vision for a better world that is comprehensively sustainable, socially fair, environmentally secure, economically prosperous, inclusive, and more predictable. They provide a viable model for long-term growth that aims to drive systematic multi-stakeholder shift by 2030. And this cannot be achieved by doing business as usual. It is a significant opportunity to be able to deliver them and requires actions not just from governments, but also from businesses. Ultimately, a strategic plan for sustainable development in accordance with the SDGs is key for business growth and success. Connecting with goals will save our business money and time, motivate employees, and build resilience against uncertainty. An example of one thing that ProRail are doing is, say, for example, number 3, which is for good health and well-being. As a company, we are continuously raising awareness within our teams of the health and well-being issues in the sector and provide guidance on worker well-being on construction sites and mental ill health. An example of this is recent research has revealed that work-related stress, anxiety and depression have cost the industry 40,000 workdays a year and accounted for around 20% of all cases of ill health in construction over the last 5 years.
Okay, thanks, Madam. So, with respect to pushing value initiatives, so there's quite a number of things. They're all listed here, but we'll start with this anyway. We have a fleet of roadway planters, as I mentioned earlier on. So one of the things we thought we would do, bear in mind that we have a high proximity of work sites in kind of remote or rural areas. Obviously, the health and well-being of our staff is very important to us. So we thought it would be a useful initiative to install defibrillators, not just in the offices. We've got 4 offices across the UK, but also in all of our plant. So we've in all of our fleet of road rail vehicles, we have a defibrillator. So should something unfortunate happen to one of our member staff, at least there's something there to facilitate or help our staff, and not just our staff, whoever might be in the workforce adjacent to us as well. Armed Forces Covenant into rail is very important to us. I've previously done a number of lectures on careers in railway to the Royal Engineers down in Chatham. We have a number of ex-forces personnel who have finished time in the army, come out of the army. We've helped them with their retraining into their next phase of their life. And we're quite fortunate that we've got some members of staff from in our team today who are ex-RE and fantastic additions to our team. So it's for us as a win-win. Good people want to kind of good look at the stage of their career. We've been quite fortunate to have develop a relationship there, and we've also got other workshops set up with them in the future. Something I'm about 8 or 9 years into kind of the scenario now in terms of helping various ex-forces personnel finding new careers in rail. Find it very rewarding that they can get these opportunities. These people are very willing to bring their very transferable skills into our industry, and it's an industry of scarce resource at the moment. I'd encourage whoever's on this call today to think about doing something similar. Also, in terms of, say, other initiatives, we recently introduced to our fleet battery-operated MUPs. So there's a number of benefits to this, Bob. I'm going to focus on the social value part rather than the sustainability part we're going to touch upon later on. So one of the key benefits of battery-powered MUPs is the application of that asset when working in urban areas. Quite often we could be executing graffiti works to high retaining walls in urban areas or vegetation removal. And obviously the quieter our operations can be, the more benefit our interaction with our neighbouring stakeholders is. So that's worked out really well for us, certainly on Northern London Line operations we're doing quite recently as well. The use of eco-welfare cabins, well, quite clearly we've got relationships with the likes of, say, Speedy and Sunbelt amongst other companies as well that actually are quite clever. Technology's moved on at rate knots. There are things we can do in terms of the application of solar power panels, which once again has a noise reduction element. So it's got a carbon reduction element, but from my point of view on this slide, the noise reduction element is a big deal. Certainly the application works in an urban area. So that's good for us. and digital with the application of battery power tools as well. So there's quite a number of things as the last 2 or 3 years, technology has moved on at an absolute rate of knots. That's been quite beneficial to us as a business. So the one of the key challenges we might talk about later on is the cost of some of these, because obviously there is a cost of traditional kind of generators and versus say battery powered, which I suppose as the applications get more rolled out, the higher utilization will probably result in a lower unit cost for higher over time. But it's still a little bit of a challenge today. But however, wherever possible, we are trying to use the application of battery power tools. It's the right thing to do for carbon emissions and for noise management, in particular in urban areas. Thanks, Charlotte. Next slide, please.
Thank you. Yes, bit of an unusual one actually. It's another initiative we found, but we only found out by kind of using our relationship with water coolers in the office. So we engaged with a company called Accreditation, primarily initially just to have water in our offices for staff to use and stay hydrated. It's always a good thing. But then they made us aware of an initiative that they run to be able to provide funds to build elephant pumps, to be able to provide water in different locations within Africa to benefit families and villages as a much needed source of clean and fresh drinking water for many. So that was kind of an unusual one that we kind of stumbled upon maybe by accident, but it was actually a really good one and something that has been quite beneficial with not too much input from ourselves, but it's been really rewarding. And I know that our girls in the office have received feedback on that one, and it's been very positive. Yeah.
Okay, so I mentioned to point on in the general supply chain study in school. So this is for those who are not aware, this is an industry initiative that's been on the go 10 years, but it's actually more or less the same ages as ourselves. We became a member a number of years ago, or a partner about 3 years ago. This is a fantastic ability for various companies who might want to be a partner initially, but join as a member. The amount of information and data that you can draw out of the school to provide teaching skills, to your methods to your staff and colleagues about how to make your business more, not only more sustainable, but look for ideas how to introduce social value mechanisms to then roll that out to your neighbour stakeholders is fantastic. So it involves National Rail, Highways England. Nearly all of the major tier ones that I can think of are partner level, but then a lot of SMEs come in at a lower cost level as a member. However, there's absolutely loads of fantastic information on sustainability ideas and social value ideas that I really would encourage you even to have a look at as a member, which is very low cost, but it gives you real practical ideas and how things can be applied to your business, whatever the scale, whatever the size of that. And that's something we've done. We've gone into there and taken lots of good ideas and applied that to our business to basically kind of reshape how we thought. How can we go about this process in a better way? So I was seeing a question, I'll come back to that later on. But it's all online as well. So there's a whole load of material you can download, and you can save it. You can roll out training programs. You can take ideas from with your own staff, but also for those companies who might say use subcontractors and have a supply chain, you can also roll this down to them and make them aware of it. This is a huge industry initiative that's gaining absolute arm's length anywhere I see. So I sit on various groups, the carbon, infrastructure and plant groups, and it's amazing to see the willingness of like-type contractors and companies like ourselves who've really changed their tune in certainly the last 3 years in particular, about how they're going to get real action plans in to address or carbon targets, and also what real value they can initiate from a social value point of view too. So we're only able to point too much here. I always to say people Google it, look at it. I'm happy to receive emails or direct questions post the presentation today to provide more advice on it. This is mega. This is one really good thing. If you took Anthony away from this presentation today, is look at what these guys are doing, how it can apply to your business from a low cost point of view to get those ideas and how they could be implemented. Thanks, Charlotte.
I think just to follow on from what Eamonn was saying, the supply chain school actually has a lot of free resources. So
Yeah.
there's some elements are completely zero cost to your business as well. And we've just found it really, really useful. And you can kind of log in and find tailored training to something or a topic that you are particularly interested in at the time. So we've been running it. All of our guys kind of do at least kind of 2 or 3 e-learnings or lunch and learns like this every month. To continue their growth and development. So it's been really useful. Part of what we've done with the supply chain school is this People Matter Charter. So in 2018, the supply chain school brought together several partners to identify, obviously, what is a responsible organisation should have in place with respect to social value if they believe their people matter. So they consider the challenges around diversity, exploitation, employment conditions, training and skills, well-being, modern slavery, wages, right to work and human rights, which are obviously all connected. As a result of the work, the People Matter Charter was created. The Charter aims to help organisations of any size across the supply chain to address the people challenges they face in one workforce strategy. Obviously, you can see from the slide there is obviously 8 commitments. So as a construction industry, our industry is considered high risk for modern slavery and wider exploitation due to the huge demand for labour, a severe skill shortage, complex supply chains, and the prevalence of indirect and self-employment. From a modern slavery perspective, construction is one of the most at-risk sectors, accounting for an estimated 18% of global forced labour victims. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 22, increased supply chain costs, material shortage and inflation are firmly in the spotlight also. But with every penny we can eliminate from our cost base and divert to our bottom line, we are increasing the pressures on our most valuable resource, our people. This is why ProRail Services has made a commitment to this charter and to implement it within our own workforce strategy. So moving on to kind of carbon reduction and the kind of things that we're doing currently and within our next 5-year plan. So ProRail are committed to achieving net zero by 2050. Obviously, you can see we have a number of initiatives, including. Sorry. Yeah, I'll talk through them. Sorry. Yeah. So we have, as part of the supply chain school, we've got a carbon calculator that we can utilise to help kind of assess where we are and where we're going. We monitor our fuel data and vehicle usage to look at the reduction of fuel usage within our business. We are currently looking at renewing our vehicle fleet to make sure that we are the most compliant. So all our vans and vehicles are also Euro 6 compliant currently, but we're also looking at ways to future-proof that. All our on-track plant and machines run on HBO, which we'll talk about in more detail later. We're obviously accredited to ISO 14001. Our waste diversion from landfill, I think at the time of writing this, I put 97, but I think we're actually slightly higher at probably 98.5 at least with that, which is really good for our type of business. And obviously, as Eamonn previously discussed, we have switched to the use of battery operated small tools where possible and introduced our MUPs. So we have a couple of things we're looking at trying to implement in the next couple of years. We're looking at facilitating company vehicles moving to kind of electric powered to shift away from fuels altogether. We do have a cycle to work scheme being introduced, and we also have a kind of carbon working group within our business. So different levels of our business have come together to try and look at other kind of clever ways that within our working practices and our business and policy setting that we can look at reducing our carbon footprint.
Maybe worth adding on one item to that in terms of, say, the 4 regional operators we have in the business. 80% of the staff in each unit actually live within 3 to 4 miles of the actual office. Quite I don't know, part accident, part kind of plan, I would say with that one, but it is a fact where we're quite lucky that we have a vast majority of the staff that work for us, from an office point of view, live quite close to the depots, and obviously that helps keep, I suppose, the carbon emissions down because that we locally employ. That was part of the original plan, and we have the evidence to kind of back that up, which is good for them and it's good for us.
Yeah, so we'll move to the next one, please, Charlotte. So I briefly touched on in the last slide, but we use the free carbon calculator for supply chains through the supply chain school. As you can read, it's developed in partnership with a sustainability tool and the school's client action group. It just basically helps us support calculating our emissions. It helps us provide any clients with data that they need for the kind of emissions where we are. It allows us to be able to track and progress against our own targets. I think the calculator provides a dashboard which provides a breakdown of emissions over time. So using the calculator, it's possible to view our carbon footprint by scopes 1, 2 and 3 or activity type. So this enables us to track our progress over time and to be able to set our own targets and help achieve.
Yeah, so what I would say is that's why I would encourage you to do some research in supply chain school and look at the practical tools, because obviously we're just talking words here, but for it to transfer to a bit more reality to yourself, it'd be worth actually logging on to that and seeing how that might apply to your business.
Yeah, next slide, please, Charlotte. So waste is obviously another big one. I think in 2018, the UK generated 67.8 million tonnes of non-hazardous construction and demolition waste, of which 62.6 was recovered. This was including reuse, recycling and backfilling. That represents a recovery rate of about 92.3%, which would have been progress for our industry when we're targeting halving waste to landfill. However, obviously we must now move to a more resource efficient world with zero waste and a circular economy. So as individual businesses, we also need to think about the bigger picture as we become more aware globally about the impacts of our throwaway culture. It's estimated that by 2050 that there could be more plastic waste in the ocean than fish, and that if everybody used resources at the same rate as the average EU resident, we would need at least 3 planets to sustain ourselves. So the true cost of waste in a project is often underestimated, but we can all play a role in tackling these problems. As a contractor, simple changes on site to reduce, reuse and recycle your construction waste can bring many benefits. This is what we refer to as the waste hierarchy, a useful guide for the sustainable treatment of waste, prioritising waste treatment in the following way: prevention, reuse, recycle, other recovery, such as energy recovery, and disposal, which is obviously our last one, to landfill. So obviously everything we do has an impact on the environment, whether it's clearing vegetation during projects, groundwork, or purchasing a new vehicle. The decisions we make have a wide range of impacts on the environment. Environmental management is the framework and processes that we put in place to understand what is causing an impact on the environment from what we do. The aspects such as driving vehicles, extracting materials, and what the impacts of the environment are as a consequence on the soil, the air, water, atmosphere, and biodiversity. It is then putting plans in place to reduce or eliminate the negative impacts and maximise the positive impacts. Common examples of environmental management might have to be systems in place to control or prevent pollution, such as effluents getting into river courses, or the implementation of a biodiversity programme to ensure that the flora and fauna of an area is enhanced once the project has been completed. Often the need for a robust environmental management system is driven by statutory requirements, such as air quality and water effluent limits, but more forward-thinking organisations are increasingly setting the bar higher. As we previously said, I think ProRail services are accredited ISO 14001, and our management system encourages a plan, do, check and act cycle.
Okay, plant. So obviously one of the kind of the biggest carbon producing elements in our business is utilisation of our own plant. So we've got plant, basically we hire out to Network Rail and the major tier ones. We've also utilised the same plant where required on our railway civil engineering contracts or railway drainage jobs in particular, I suppose. So one of the the challenges we faced when we first set the plant division a few years ago was, do we take a view to buy older machines because the cost is lower, or do we look at the kind of more newer compliant engine types to basically kind of keep up with technology, but also to keep a carbon reduction in place? So we took the view that we would go with new. We didn't gambled on going with new. It was a big decision from an SME point of view, especially with cost investment, because although you want to be more carbon reduction, you got to think about as well the cost. Ultimately, it's paid off because what we've done is the machines have been designed and built to new specification, current for all government guidelines, And also we've recently, well, about a year and a half ago, I suppose now, switched away from diesel to the application of HBO Fuel. Should have got a slide in that, but it's just kind of, it's a bit of evidence of how some challenges that we thought about and how it applies to your business when you're in this field. And other companies will have maybe different, but ultimately, if we're going to take our agenda of carbon reduction and the application of sustainability and social value seriously, then there are practical things that one needs to decide on and ultimately do. Yeah. So in addition to obviously the HBO fuel, we've got every RV that we have has 360 cameras for safety of our own workforce and also for our neighbourhood stakeholders who will interface with many railway sites over the years. Yeah, and these are just simple little practical things that we do as business, but we work quite closely with National Rail's on-track plant and insurance team. When we ask them questions, is there anything new coming out of National Rail or any other initiatives that we need to be aware of that we could think about and then further apply to our plant within our business as appropriate? Yeah. So move on, next slide, please. So I touched upon earlier on, all of our track, the machines run on HBO fuel rather than red diesel. So I suppose one of the original inspirations for this initiative was the supply chain school. It was a practical thing that some plant companies, there were non-rail companies, there was just normal civil plant companies were looking at. So we did a workshop of how this might apply to us. To be honest, it was pretty straightforward to implement in the end. It was, I think the initial challenge was sourcing a reliable and certified supplier of HBO fuel that we'd be confident from an insurance point of view that it does what it says in the tin. So where are the real benefits? To us, it cuts net CO2 by up to 9% compared to red diesel. It's because it's synthesized through the hydro treatment of vegetable oils, which eliminates, as I just said, 9% of that CO2, and also significantly reduces nitrogen oxide, particulate matter, and carbon monoxide. It's derived from various certified waste sources and is manufactured from carbon that derives from certified waste products. It's a clean burning fuel. It's free from aromatics, sulfur, metals, making an extremely clean burning fuel. What's more, reduces particulate production during combustion, reducing the aging of engine oils whilst providing a more efficient burn. So one of the decisions we had to make before we implemented this fuel option was, would the engine manufacturers go along with what we're proposing? And they were mercifully for us, more than happy and willing to do so. Next slide, please. Touch upon the application of the MUPS earlier on, but in this slide is not just the noise benefits, but obviously the carbon reduction benefits too. So our new hybrid RV 14 Evo 240, 200 MUPS have become very popular. This is kind of certainly on the contracts where we interface high speed 2, the on-network works, they'd be very keen to get these assets out. One, because of carbon reduction, two, due to the noise or the reduction in noise interface with neighbours. And we've been working with application of these for vegetation management, tunnel inspections, bridge inspections, signal gantry head installation and maintenance, bridge deck painting and OLE works in particular. Yeah, we can boast a fantastic range of benefits compared to the diesel only engine. These include hybrid technology, lithium batteries, and update hours of use. So basically, any midweek rules through possessions, your full battery mode, not a problem. There is a backup engine within the unit should a breakdown happen, and even that engine is powered by HVO should we require. Yeah. So obviously zero emissions when in battery mode, and also it's very good for working in tunnels. You've got noise reduction in a close area, and obviously fume reduction as well. 40 kilogram basket, usable in all duties, and we've got a add-on carry-on deck at the back that carries 500 kilograms, and an AED is fitted on board. Thanks, Charlotte. So I tried to summarise our presentation today as follows. There are various construction applications becoming more prevalent, certainly at bid stage with National Grid and the Tier 1 supply chain. We like to think we got a little bit ahead of that a couple of years ago, but certainly as time has gone on, you look at the Bravo inquiries that come out or the various Tier 1 inquiries, there's a lot more evidence that an SME or any contractor or supplier knows to consider. It does place challenges on SMEs versus larger Tier 1 contractors because larger team companies have got good scribes and bid writers and small army people versus small companies like ourselves who basically got to rely on the fact that we're doing it and our evidence rather than being clever scribes and invented words that kind of tick a box. I like to think that we are an evidence-based company that is doing the best for our ability to follow the sustainability and carbon reduction agendas that the government has set us up. I've touched upon the fact of battery powered small plant and MUPS are fantastic, not just for carbon reduction, but also for noise reduction in particular. Yeah, we spoke about the application of HBO Fuel in terms of our fleet, and also about the fact that this business has got a very strong and dedicated sustainability and social value training agenda for all of our staff. And it's also included briefly at our staff reductions for new joiners, the fact that they will be going on training and kind of behavioural programs with that. You know, I can remember back to 2008, 2009 with BAF, BT and BAM with the zero harm and beyond zero safety campaigns. And I think that's kind of we're in that zone now with this as an industry. There's a huge agenda of this, and that's why we think it's important that from a behavioural cultural point of view, that we put a lot of hard work and consistent training and emphasis on both aspects to all of our staff on a continuous basis. Because if you don't, it kind of gets lost in the wash. Also, if you don't, you know, do what you promised to do, you know, and then therefore obtain the evidence that one requires to provide this requirement to your clients as you move on. Integrated communication to our clients, social value and sustainability teams. Kind of attend a variety of tier 1 client workshops throughout the course of the year, and it's quite good to see what all the supply chain companies are doing and what kind of evidence they're bringing to the party, because all about knowledge and ideas and information sharing. The more we can share it together, the better we'll be, and gives inspiration to all of us to work out clever ways to assist the government's programme with carbon reduction. So in our opinion, we're trying the best for our ability. There's always room to improve, always room to learn. We're trying to work out a clear plan. Although so far, you know, it's challenging, but we're up for it. And hopefully we'll collectively as an industry get there by 2050 or hopefully before it. That's probably, I think, before it's probably more prevalent than 2050, if I'm being honest, but we'll see how that goes. So at that stage, I think I'll hand back to Mark and who may have some questions from the floor to take on board. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda and Eamonn, for a very, very interesting talk. Now, we've got a few questions in the chat. I think I'll open up straight away to get the ball rolling with one from Tony, which was he's talking about upgrading the fleet to be more environmentally friendly. There's a cost involved. Are you doing this incrementally as assets become life expired, or proactively renewing now?
Pretty much renew now. So we're kind of the scenario we're in that our machines are built brand new to order. So don't buy second-hand machines. And I've nothing in the fleet that's older than 3 years. So we're pretty compliant to anything that we need to be complied with. Same with some of the vans. But the vans get changed at year 3. Yeah. Well, we need the next challenge for us, more from the vans point of view, is EV. What can we do realistically from an EV perspective? That's one of the things we're looking at in the year ahead. And
an affordable EV. It has to be. It's all kind of cost. There is cost implications, like questions at Tony. There's obviously cost implications to everything we're doing. So I think years ago when we first initially looked at this, there wasn't the capability on the electric vehicles, but obviously that's changed now. So things are happening, and they're becoming more cost effective as well. So we've got, you know, it's a bit of both.
And that's a fair point, because I mentioned earlier in the presentation regarding the plant MUPS. We introduced the new MUPS last November, but you know they were what £43,000 more expensive than say just diesel engine only. Okay, but we took a whole life asset management view to the application of that new asset. Thought, well, the mood music has changed. This is, you know, in the future, if you're trying practically to use battery power wherever possible, it's too difficult on the large RV excavators today. There's simply not enough power there, but it was more realistic in the MUPS. We thought, well, that was something we could do to start to get that going, yeah. And then as technology evolves, and it will evolve, because it always does, then in a few years' time we can always look at the next generation that comes out.
Okay, thank you, Eamonn. I have a hand up from Richard Hill. Floor's yours, Richard.
Hi there, how are you doing? Thank you, Eamonn. Very good. I've got a quick question.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me okay?
Apologies, Richard. No, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Right. Just a quick one. So you did the stuff what and the employee do anything for your employee?
It's a very poor line, Richard, regrettably. Would you be kind enough to type it in the chat, sir, and I'll read it on your behalf?
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. Whilst Richard's typing, I'm just going to pick up on another question from Tony, if I may, which was PRS are doing some great work implementing these initiatives. Do you feel that you're getting the recognition and support from your clients?
I would say, with respect to, say, the high speed 2 JVs, yes. We got onto a couple of framework contracts this calendar year with SCS, JV, and BBV, and one of the reasons they gave us what we got on it, we kind of beat off some competition. That was we had clear evidence of doing the do. Yeah, we weren't as clever with the words as scribes might be in the larger organisations, but we were, for the size of company that we are, we did the best of our ability. We had real evidence of whatever we could do within our financial means we were doing. So I would say, certainly I get the feedback from the high speed 2 side, yeah, all day long. I would say on normal tier 1s, not so much. We attend the workshops, we provide the evidence, we provide the information, but they've got to satisfy their clients. We feel like it goes into an information hub that they can then draw on up to their kind of Department of Transport or major infrastructure clients as appropriate. But
right. Looks like Richard's still typing. Here we go. Thanks, Richard. So, do you do anything to help your staff calculate their personal impact and education on how to reduce their carbon footprint? And do you know your own? Wow.
Yeah, so there's a number of answers to that. I'll start with the staff. Yes, we do. So in the training modules we obtained from the supply chain school, it was very clear and specific, some tangible set of tasks you could do within that to provide that kind of, I suppose, mental retraining, things like that, what to do. One of the things I kind of, to answer the second part of the question, is car sharing. So where we had some member staff who don't live locally or live further away, we found that actually they live that far apart. We encourage car sharing. Even my own journey from where I live is about 26 miles from here. Even I car sharing, and that's happened in the last 18 months. So rather than have 2 separate vehicles, reduce it by half because it's 2 in 1 vehicle. I know it's a practical thing to do. Obviously, it does reduce carbon emissions, but also reduces the fuel bill. So it's better for the business. And that's kind of one of the things I'm trying to say, that in sustainability and having that broader awareness of it, it's not always about spending money. It could actually be, if you look at it the right way, you could actually save some money.
I think I'd agree with what Richard's saying there. The evidence shows that work training flows over to your personal lives very well. I suppose especially in this current climate where fuel costs have gone crazy. Yeah, but I think anything where you can do reducing your input and how you kind of manage your day-to-day life is definitely something that is not just from a work point of view, but we probably do take it home.
But one of the reasons why we did that was because supply chain school was kind of rewiring our heads. 100%. I think to be aware of ideas, to kind of, all right, I never thought about that, because you never have the time to think about it. You're busy people, you're doing a busy life. We said, oh wow, actually, yeah, we actually applied that to us, and actually not pay more money out. We actually save some money. It's win-win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Any more questions from the floor? Okay, not at present. I asked a question earlier, Eamonn, which is a little bit probably around my own ignorance, but I struggle to understand how the financial value of social value is calculated. Bearing in mind social value reaches across a whole range of possibilities, as you explained earlier. Is that something you could perhaps elaborate on a little bit more? Because life is about, efficiencies and cost. How do you calculate financially social value?
So it's very complicated, and it's hard for a tangible figure on it. So that was a big debating point. We had a couple of months ago in Coventry with the 10th anniversary get together of the supply chain school, about 300 people there. And that was one of the debating topics on the day. How do you measure social value? And no one could give a straight answer or agree on an answer, to be honest. It means different things from people. It's social value is different to the sustainability, where you've got carbon reduction as a tangible measure. We're reducing X number of tons of carbon, easy. You can put metrics in place and analysis data to do that. On social value, it's very difficult to do that. And it was one of the things we debated for about nearly 2 hours on that day. Okay. So we had people you from Balfour Beatty, Morgan Sundell, even the Network Rail, they all had different metrics in place in their heads of how you measure social value. But clearly, where we're at is you need to have it as your agenda topic in your business, but what you're going to do to bring benefit to your neighbour stakeholders in the area that you work in. Long story short, in a one-liner, you got to leave that area you entered in better place when you leave it. Due to your operations, wherever you do, it's got to be better than what it was before. And that's kind of the kind of green and formal words, because it's not set. It's not there. No major entities there yet. It means different things to different people, and certainly therefore the measurement of that is different to different clients. Yeah, it's a very challenging one,
Sure.
but they're kind of very clear that, you know, have you worked with local schools in the area? Have you done cleanups and canals? Have you done? There's a whole long list of things. If you know, in the area you worked in, if you maybe reached out to a local homeless charity and provided assets and benefits to those people. There's a long list of things you can do that ultimately might be hard to measure financially, the financial benefit to see yourself as a company, but certainly, you know,
overall benefit.
Your benefit to society. And that goes back to something I believe in as well, that, you know, railway to me is an asset that brings benefit to society. It's a public utility that we all rely on. Yeah. And it's fine to give back. So social value really is about giving back, isn't it? You know, whatever to the best of your ability. And that's the way we.
Well, I agree. It's a difficult topic, and I think it's a difficult one to kind of pinpoint actual kind of financial.
It's not there.
It's
even Network Rail
there.
not there. I mean, we had the heads from Southern Region. She was at that too, and they couldn't agree how you measure it. But you've got to do it.
Okay. Thank you both. 5 minutes left, folks. I have a question from Thomas. I think we'll take this one and maybe one more, see how long this one takes to answer. So Thomas's question: how are the emissions and environmental impacts of manufacturing new equipment and decommissioning retired equipment balanced against operating and emissions efficiency? And is there a standard method for this?
I think the part B I'll answer first is no. There are ongoing conversations in the plant where we operate in. Obviously, we are very heavily regulated by each Network Rail region's on-track plant insurance team, who have strong links to the manufacturers of the kit that operate in their infrastructure. Okay, and there's many working groups within that. So there are conversations. Certainly, I would say that the manufacturers have got a very clear legislation understanding and clear technical understanding of how new kit has been introduced, is nearly 99 times out of 100 always more carbon efficient than the previous model or previous generation is anyway, because they record that in their technical specs and advise you at the point of sale. Well, could we also say, well, why should we buy this asset? How's this generation better than the one before? And then you go through the detail of the technical specs. So I would say it's been more industry-led and manufacturer-led than say client-led. That's the evidence I have for me.
Okay, thank you. All right, folks. We've got about 4 minutes left. Maybe time for one more question if anybody has one. Okay. Well, I'll formally draw this session to a close then, if that's all right. I'd like to thank Amanda and Eamonn for a fascinating lunch and learn session, and to the audience for their questions and insights. Do please keep an eye out on social media and the PWI website for future lunch and learns. And I hope the rest of you, you have a very good rest of your day, folks. Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great lecture.